Ladies and gentlemen, this is America's Healthcare Advocate Show.
Hello, America. Welcome to America's Healthcare Advocate Show.
Separating fact from fiction.
We're going to repeal it and replace it. And it'll be great health care for much less money.
You can have the benefits that were promised to them without any change whatsoever. But if we keep kicking the can down the road, keep digging the hole deeper, burying that deficit more, that's much harder to keep that kind of a commitment.
Broadcasting coast to coast across the USA. Susan's calling from Kansas City, Missouri. Marcia from Pittsburgh. My very special guest today, Grace Marie Turner, president of the Galen Institute. Welcome back, Grace Marie.
Well, Carrie, it's a pleasure to be with you, and I do have to say, you are the most knowledgeable about health policy, just superlative.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, America's Healthcare Advocate, Carrie Hall.
Hello, America. Welcome to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. Thank you for joining us today and making us one of the most listened to talk shows throughout the United States, 131 affiliates strong, thanks to all of you in our listening audience. We're doing a very special show today. We are at the State Financial Officers Foundation Fall Meeting in beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. This place is truly amazing. I've looked at Coeur d'Alene a lot of times online. My wife and I thought about coming up here to visit. I was absolutely floored. It's more beautiful than anything you can imagine looking online. So we're fortunate to be here today at the State Financial Officers Foundation Fall Meeting. If you have questions today, I've got guests in studio. Very fortunate to have Derek Kreifels, the president, State Financial Officers Foundation, Ron Crane, State Treasurer for the state of Idaho, the new national chair, and Allison Ball, State Treasurer for the state of Kentucky, the new national vice chair. Welcome, one and all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time to do this today. And, this isn't going to be about healthcare today, folks. We're going to step outside the box as we do from time to time. However, if you do have questions, I know that, we're rolling into the Medicare season. We're also rolling into ACA open enrollment. A lot of you are getting renewals on your employer-sponsored health insurance programs. If you've got questions, as always, 877-385-2224. That's 877-385-2224. Good anywhere in the United States, including Guam. We actually do get phone calls from Guam from time to time. And you can always go to the website, americashealthcareadvocate.com. There's a lot of information up there. There are videos up there that you can look at. They're about a minute, sometimes a minute and a half long, on different topics from self-funded plans, level premium, Medicare, you name it. They're up there. And you can always send me an email if you have a question. I get about 220, 230 a day. I don't answer each one of them the same day, but as you all know, I do answer each and every one of them. So welcome again, everyone. Thanks for being here today. So Derek, let's just start out with who are the state financial officers and the State Financial Officer Foundation here gathered in Coeur d'Alene today.
Great, absolutely. Thank you, Carrie, again for having us on. Happy to talk about the State Financial Officers Foundation. We're an organization of free market state treasurers, state auditors, state controllers. So as we think about the people that are managing the state cash flows, the state budgets, that are advocating for financial reforms in their states, these are the elected officials across the United States who, for most part, serve as the chief financial officers of their states. This organization started 5 years ago out of a need to have an opportunity for these elected officials to gather. We gather twice a year to discuss some of the biggest financial challenges that our state and frankly our nation is facing. And we think that these free market conservative values that we discuss at these meetings are the ways to out of financial bondage for a lot of our states. And so we share best practices, share ideas, and we go back and encourage our financial officers, our state treasurers, to really act as policy advocates, even if it's an area that they may not statutorily be responsible for, that they can go back, just like we visited about healthcare today. A lot of them don't have direct impact on their state health plans, but we want them to understand how healthcare in their states affect their bottom lines.
It impacts them.
Absolutely. It affects them and it affects their taxpayers. And so our hope is that they can go back and act as advocates for sound financial policy.
Allison, what are, one of the things that I think is fascinating about this is I read the program, this is obviously a red state organization. I didn't see Illinois here. I didn't see the cartoon state here from California. I didn't see New York here or Vermont. So let's talk about some of those financial challenges and the free market applications. You're the state treasurer for the state of Kentucky. What are some of those things, and how does this organization help you in forming ideas and policies you take back to your governor, to your legislator, to get things put in place that you need to do?
Sure. Well, you just mentioned that you see mostly red states represented here, and that's correct. And I think one of the explanations for that is the motto of the organization is "Look to the states." So, it has an emphasis on what can states do as opposed to the federal government, and the right approach, the way our system of government was set up, that the states are supposed to be a primary source for responding to people. A lot of your government should come from the state rather than the federal government. So that's a reason why you have a lot of red state representation. In Kentucky, we have a lot of issues going on that are important, that need changes, and most of them are financial. We're in a pension crisis in Kentucky. I was talking today on a panel about our state of our pensions. Our largest pension is about 17% funded, and that's an optimistic look at it.
Not 17% short, 17% funded.
That is correct.
Making it 83% short, if I did the math right.
That's right. That's right. So
unbelievable. That's
is
unbelievable. In private industry, if you do that, you'd be out of business.
Absolutely. And so my state of Kentucky, it's generally a conservative state, but it's been a state that has voted Democrat for a long time. So we've been reaping the consequences of following big government politicians, even though it tends to be a conservative state the way people believe. And that's why we have a pension crisis right now. We have other financial crises. But in the last 2 years, we've been electing conservatives in office, and the ship is starting to turn around. So for me, conservative in office, I get a lot of benefit for coming to an organization like SFOF because I get to talk to other conservatives and see what they're doing. And like Derek said, we share best practices. We have to think sometimes out of the box because we might be the only people who are pursuing conservative principles that we can find. So we develop these ideas and implement them. But I want to also mention another major issue in Kentucky is Medicaid expansion. I know,
which is a great topic for Obamacare expansion, all the rest of it. Yes,
it is. Our previous governor was kind of a poster boy for Medicaid expansion. He was one of the first to do it, and he did it by executive order. So he didn't even have buy-in from the state. But him doing that resulted in, and you're going to be surprised by this number, 1/3 of Kentuckians are on Medicaid.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by it. It is sad. And now you're confronted with what happens if you try to pull that back.
Right. And this is happening at the same time that we're having a pension crisis. So
we've got two now.
We have two. We have two. So this is an important and, in fact, necessary time for conservatives to be in office because we're going to be the grown-ups in the room. We're looking at the reality of the situation, and we're the ones who actually are trying to fix it instead of just kicking the can down, as has been done in the past.
So, Ron, speaking of the grown-ups in the room, when are we going to get some grown-ups to Washington, D.C.?
Well, that's a very good question.
Especially in light of what Allison just said about Medicaid.
Whenever we can get people like Allison Ball to move from the Treasurer's office to Congress and to the U.S. Senate, we're going to be in good shape. By the way, welcome to Idaho, Kerry. We are thrilled to death to have you.
Yeah.
It's also a very red state. We're
yes,
about
it is.
80% Republican in our legislature. So we enjoy the benefits of a balanced budget. We enjoy the benefits of a pension program that is ranked like third in the nation by the rating agencies. Our funding liability is only about 15%. So
wow, completely the opposite of what Allison, just a complete flip of what Allison inherited.
That's correct.
When they came into office with the governor and took over this program. Yours is completely the opposite the other way.
Give the Republicans a chance and we'll do a good job with your money.
Yeah.
Because one of the things is we recognize whose money it really is. It doesn't belong to the government. It belongs to the people. We're just simply the custodians. And our job is
I got to ask you, do you think that's, I told you guys today when I spoke in front of the group, 49% of the people in this country think we should move to a single payer system. Do you think people, the majority of people in this country get that? I mean, that it is their money. It's not the government's money to start with. You certainly do if you're in private enterprise.
You sure do.
You make payroll taxes and the other 27 taxes we pay, and you get it. But do you see that, either of you? Do you see that filtering down to the voter, the ordinary man and woman on the street?
I can only speak for Idaho, and I can tell you that probably 60 to 70% of the people in Idaho understand that. But the problem is not Idaho. The problem is other states around the country that don't understand that.
So you're from a state, Allison, where in the past you've had Democrat leadership. How does that reflect back to you when I ask that question?
Right. Well, it's a good question. I think a lot of people get it, especially in my state, because we've changed. We have a Republican governor now. We have 2 Republican senators. Almost our entire federal delegation are Republicans, and they're all people that have been very outspoken, some extremely outspoken against Obamacare and that type of mentality. So I do think you see that people understand it because they're voting like they understand it.
I think that's interesting, and that's encouraging for me to hear that, because you see so much in the national media, Derek, and hopefully that's the message that your organization is propelling forward in terms of getting that out through these folks and your group to get that message back to people so they understand it. We're going to come back after the break. We're going to continue this fascinating conversation. We are here at the State Financial Officers Foundation in beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, at the fall annual meeting. If you have questions, the phone lines are open. We are not taking calls on the air, but if we can help you with anything, 877-385-2224 or online at americashealthcareadvocate.com, americashealthcareadvocate.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break with more and my guests here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.